Boom goes the dynamite. Or should I say, boom shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the Free Range Human Show Choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live here on 1039 WYAB, streaming worldwide on the Mazda Jackson live stream on Facebook, X, YouTube. Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch. You would think I'd remember it all by now. You can either find us at SaveJXN or at Clay Edwards Show on one or the other. You can join in all the public discourse in the comments there, as it has been prone to be. Good fun, good times for everybody there. You can text the show at the Ellis Autoplex text line, 769-241-1944. 769-241-1944. We may open up the phone lines this morning. If we do, that phone number is 601-879-0002. Well, let's just say, let's open up the phone lines. What do you guys think about all this Nolan Wells stuff? The autopsy is going to come out, well, the independent autopsy is going to come out today at 8 a.m. What's his name? The race baiter, Ben Crump. Mr. Crumps is going to release the Kraken at 8 a.m. this morning on stage in Chicago at the 119th Annual NAACP National Convention. I had a little birdie tell me yesterday, and I'm not going to say what exactly, because if it's wrong, I don't want to be disrespectful to the memory of Nolan Wells by dirtying up his name a little bit. But I'll just say something interesting could come out in the if true, big if true, as the saying goes. Big if true, there could be something shocking in the state's autopsy results. And what I'm curious of is Crump and company going to try to jump in front of that? He's got the parents of Nolan Wells going to be on stage with him. Are they using this as one last gasp to bleed this turnip for just a little bit more attention, a little bit more sympathy, and, of course, a little bit more money for that GoFundMe? They're trying to get that GoFundMe to $1 million. Let's see here. Let's search GoFundMe and see how much they've raised by now. I know it was up over $850,000, I think, last, or they had moved the goal to $850,000, but I think they got there. Let's see. We go to the home page, usually where it's been at. They've been keeping it on the home page. Let's see. Nolan Wells. Do a little quick search here. I wasn't planning on doing this, so I do apologize. Let's see. It ain't on the front page anymore. They own to the next ones now. Nolan is worn off. People have tapped out on donating to that one. Let's see. It's not. I keep hitting the search button, but it's not letting me search. Well, that is weird. Why won't you let me search? Let's see here. Let's try it another way. There's always another way, right? Yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter. How about that? Yeah, if the website ain't going to act right, I dang sure don't care. Let me try this. Now I'm just annoyed.
It's kicking in, folks.
Now I'm just annoyed. Nolan Wells. No. It didn't let me do what I want to do, so. Oh, there's the search bar. It was right in front of me the whole time. Here we go. Sorry. It is at $751,000. Just say $752,000, and they moved the goal to $850,000. I don't think it's going to get to $1 million. If it hadn't gotten there by now, they could get another couple of really big donations today, like they did the other day at the funeral. Because, like I said, somebody donated $100,000 during the funeral the other day to the GoFundMe. This was in addition to what they had committed to for tips.
Did they actually say who that was that threw in that extra $100,000 on the GoFundMe page.
Well, the other day, a couple of weeks ago, it was Byron Allen that owns BET and all that stuff,
Right,
the Weather Channel and
yeah.
everything. But no, is he still on BET? I mean, he sold BET. No, this is the guy that owns the Weather Channel. Different guy. No, it does not have. So it's got, you can see like the top donations, and there's only one for 100,000. So I don't know. Maybe they raised another 100,000 in donations, but I don't think so. Because if you go to donations and you go to top, it's got Byron Allen at $100,000. That was 11 days ago. Then it's got anonymous. The next largest donation was 5 days ago at 5,000.
Right.
And then 4,000 6 days ago, 3,000 11 days ago. I have a hard time believing that they got another $100,000 in donations, unless somebody donated it straight to the family or something like that. Because I don't think you got 100,000 in donations there. Thank you to all the listeners who were able to get to it quicker than I was this morning. Talking and typing, as you know by now, is not my strong suit, because I will end up typing the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Absolutely.
And if I almost have to like Nolan Wells to get it to do it. So I'm calling shenanigans on them raising an extra 100,000 during the funeral. Maybe there's a way to go back and do a little audit. I'm not sure. I don't care enough to do it. I don't care how much money they make on this thing, but let's not pretend it's anything more than it is than a grift at this point.
I see no other way to go. I mean, you start out, right from the beginning, putting out your calls to action, and you have been calling and calling and calling, and you even get on the stage at his funeral and keep calling for action.
And did you hear where Sharpton basically insinuated that they had that at a white church and everybody wasn't happy about it?
I did not see that.
But it's kind of playing the straw man argument.
Yeah.
Like pretending there were some people involved with the church that weren't happy about them having that there because the pastor let them have it. If the pastor let them have it, I can assure you the congregation didn't say a word.
I'm sure.
I mean, like, nobody had a word to say about that. Nobody was unhappy about that. That was just playing the racism straw man argument.
He does it so well.
Because there's not been a single bit of racism to come out of this thing. Like, I haven't heard one person be racist about this except on the black side.
That seems to be the case with who you bring into your home there.
I just discovered this video a second ago, right before we went on the air, right before you got here. And I want to play this real quick. This is a quote from Booker T. Washington's, one of his books. And it's pretty interesting. I'm just going to go straight to it here. Let me pull it up real quick. I've already got it saved.
This is My Larger Education by Booker T. Washington. This, of course, is an original copy. Beginning in page 118, Booker T. Washington says, "In a certain community, there was a colored doctor of the old school who knew little about modern ideas of medicine, but who in some way had gained the confidence of the people and had made considerable money by his own peculiar methods of treatment. In this community, there was an old lady who happened to be pretty well provided with the world's goods and who thought that she had cancer. For 20 years, she had enjoyed the luxury of having this old doctor treat her for that cancer. As the old doctor became pretty well-to-do, he decided to send one of his boys to a medical college. After graduating from the medical school, the young man returned home and his father took a vacation. During this time, the old lady who was afflicted with the cancer called in the young man who treated her. Within a few weeks, the cancer, or what was supposed to be the cancer, disappeared, and the old lady declared herself well. When the father of the boy returned and found the patient on her feet and perfectly well, he was outraged. He called the young man before him and said, 'My son, I find that you have cured that cancer case of mine. Now, son, let me tell you something. I put you through high school, through college, and finally through medical school on that cancer. And now you have come here and cured that cancer. You started all wrong. How do you expect to make a living practicing medicine in that way?' Booker T. Washington says, "I'm afraid that there is a certain class of race problem solvers who don't want the patient to get well, because as long as the disease holds, they have not only an easy means of making a living, but also an easy medium through which to make themselves prominent before the public. Who is Benjamin Crump? Who is Al Sharpton? Who are these buffoons? Why are they relevant? They're relevant, my friends, because they exploit the grievances. They manufacture the grievances, and to the extent that they can't manufacture them, they exploit the real ones.
And for those of y'all that are not watching on the live stream, there's a video of Crump and Sharpton on stage with Nolan's family.
Contort them to be something about race when in reality the situation has nothing to do with race. Like the physician of the old school that Booker T. Washington was talking about, they rely on that cancer.
So I've been saying for years now, I'm sorry, I cut that off a few seconds early on accident, but anyway, actually, I do want, let's hear the last 5 seconds of that. My apologies.
Something about race when in reality the situation has nothing to do with race. Like the physician of the old school that Booker T. Washington was talking about, they rely on that cancer, even though the cancer is non-existent. And Booker T. Washington is saying this before 1915. He's calling it out back then.
So, I love that. Love that. So, I've been saying for years, Creston, and guest host this morning is Creston Birch. I've been saying for years that the money is in the medicine, not the cure. When it comes to this, I've been saying that. Well, obviously, I think we all are beginning to believe it about cancer, right? And big pharma. And stuff of that nature.
Thank you, big pharma.
Well, big pharma must be profiting off racism too, because there's an easy cure for this, and it's to stop allowing this to happen, to stop giving these guys oxygen. And for more people like us to call it out and to shame these people back into whatever hole they crawled out of.
I was having a discussion yesterday about this subject with someone, and I said to him, I said, I think this thing kind of snowballed downhill. I think that the family was grieving. I think they were looking for every answer that they could. They were grasping at straws. And they allowed this to come in and take control, and then they lost control. They lost control of the story, and it became something they didn't want it to be. That's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree about the losing control part, but they brought them in so early that I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say this or not, but could they be responsible for their son's death in some way, form, or fashion? To have brought this in so early, talking about demanding an investigation and all these things. I don't think that's what happened. I'm just saying the body was found within 24 hours. I mean, have you seen how long white girls go missing? Whenever the country shuts down, anytime a white girl goes missing, like there's a whole thing called missing white girl syndrome, or something like that. For weeks, months, days. No, not weeks, months, days, months, weeks. By a mere law enforcement officer, somebody goes missing, and especially sometimes when they're found dead, is 24 hours a pretty quick turnaround from the time they're reported to the time they're found?
Well, let's start off with the 24-hour rule is a myth. That's TV land. If you report somebody missing, we start taking action then.
Yeah.
9 times.
I'm sorry. I'm not talking about like the 24-hour to report thing.
Right.
I mean, but I think it was around 24 hours from the time he went missing to the time he was discovered.
True.
That's a pretty quick turnaround.
Oh, no doubt. I just wanted to make it clear that you report somebody missing, they start taking action then. You don't have to wait. That's always a big thing here. Well, you got to wait 24 hours. No, you don't. But to get back to your point, yes, that is a quick turnaround, especially the what could have happened. Now, in our opinion, and I'm going to kind of add you in this because we think this was a accidental drowning. Mm-hmm. If he had got into the outflow and gone out to sea further, we may never know what happened. But it was found quickly.
Because it pushed him back to the
back into the shore.
Into the shore there versus pulling him out.
Right.
And you pull them out, then these boys got a problem.
I believe more than what they've got now.
Yeah.
There's definitely some questions to be asking.
Right. I mean, if you're them, thank God they found a body.
Right.
They can prove that we didn't do anything wrong, hopefully.
Right.
If there's never a body, then you got this whole boat mechanic issue.
Well, I mean, you see how many questions are being asked just on, the timeline and the GPS thing, and then this, and this all leads to these questions. Well, of course they do, and they're okay questions to ask, but it doesn't have to be a all out and out conspiracy from the get go, which this was made out to be.
Well, what I thought was funny is like, they said 4:00 and it's 4:30 according to the GPS, bro. When you're out there, you're not paying that much attention to the time. Like, you're not thinking to yourself, all right, it's 4. Somebody marked the time. It's 4:30 when we call 911. I'm calling 911 or whatever. You're not paying that much attention to the exact. You're not tracking the time. You're thinking it's about such and such time.
Right.
I mean, and I say that just think of yourself when you're going through something very traumatic in the moment. You're not looking at the time thinking, all right, I need to remember exactly. It's 7:23 as I'm saying this right now.
I would be more surprised if somebody going through something traumatic could remember what day it was.
Right. Like, it's not kind of odd. You remember exactly what time. Like, you're trying to give yourself an alibi.
Now, there are cases where that does happen. I'm not saying that's, if you hear that or whatever, don't believe it. But I know officers who have been through traumatic situations and don't remember saying some things that they said then. You come back and tell them 3 or 4 days later, and they're like, I said that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when you're going through a traumatic situation, you can lose track of time. Now, in this particular situation, it wasn't traumatic until later on when hey, our friend's missing. We don't know where he is. And now we come and find out later we have one of our fellow citizens is no longer with us.
Yeah, I just cannot. We got to take a break, but I just cannot get over this fictitious no man left behind nonsense that they keep pushing on us. And I have not played this for y'all yet, but I'm going to find it during the break. This black YouTube channel that has come up with this maritime law nonsense. Now, I played it for Creston. And when we come back, I'm going to play it for you guys. And they want these boys arrested on maritime law violations like they are controlling a cruise ship or an oil tanker out there in the Gulf. First off, I don't even know if maritime law has jurisdiction in that part of the Gulf. And I don't know that they have, even if, well, I guess they would on a cruise ship or a large vessel. Mm-hmm. But and I'm guessing Jackson County must have jurisdiction on Horn Island, because that's what we keep hearing, right?
It is one of the federally controlled, I believe. I know that Ship Island is because of what's on it, but I think it is.
Then why is Jackson County leading the investigation?
Now that I can't tell you. I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess that's what I'm getting at as far as like whose jurisdiction is.
Yeah. It's one of those, as far as whose jurisdiction is, we know it's Jackson County because they're the one leading the investigation.
We'll find out during the break. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB with Creston Birch here in the studio. Y'all can give us a call, 601-879-0002 if you want to talk on this particular case this morning. Also, we're waiting on the autopsy report to come out. They're going to announce it at 8 o'clock this morning, so we're just kind of building our way to that, and we'll stream that live. Now, it may make for terrible radio, so I may have it in and out until they actually get to doing some announcing and talking. There could be all sorts of pomp and circumstance at this ridiculous NAACP nonsense as they bring the family out, and I'm sure they'll play some highlight reels or sizzle reel or low light reels of all this and try to build it up. But what I was trying to say earlier was, if what I heard was true, it's big, and I'm curious if they're trying to jump in front of it today, and that's why we're doing this. That's why they're finally releasing the autopsy before the state releases theirs, and some very potentially damning evidence comes out against their narrative. And I heard this from 3 or 4 credible sources yesterday, but they all heard it secondhand. So that's why I'm not ready to run with it. But I'm just saying, usually where there's smoke, there's fire. And it would not surprise me at all knowing how young men like to party. So we'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. We are powered by the free testosterone screenings out there at Live Better Men's Health and Wellness. Text Clay 601-633-9017. Also, be sure to check out our good friends over at Grills of Mississippi this week. Swing by, get all your grilling supplies, get those good grill brushes, man. We had a great interview with Jonathan Huddleston, one of the owners over there, about the importance of a good grill brush and how that can keep you from getting sick, how a good grill brush can keep you from getting almost killed by your grill brush. Believe it or not, the little bristles can break off, get in your intestines, and cause all kinds of life-threatening dangers. Not to ruin your morning there thinking about that if you grilled last night, but you never want to clean that grill while it's hot. That is a myth. Do not do that. That is not good with those cheap grill brushes because they're melted into plastic. The heat makes plastic melt. Those come off. You throw some food on the grill later. One of those little metal bristles get caught in the meat. You swallow it. It punctures your intestines. And next thing you know, you're like Clay. You have a punctured intestine. You have to have a colostomy bag for 3 months. And you may or may have to have one the rest of your life. Now, that's not what happened to me. Mine was from diverticulitis. But if that colon ruptures, it don't really matter what causes it, diverticulitis or a little bitty, tiny bristle from your grill brush. Google it. It happens way more than you think. Prevent that from happening to you or your family. How would you feel, guys, if cooking your family a steak led to your little child swallowing a little metal bristle and it puncturing their intestines, and God knows what happens? You couldn't live with yourself. All of that is preventative by going by Grills Mississippi. They better sell some dang grill brushes today after that ad read. And of course, it ain't all doom and gloom. They got great barbecue sauces, marinades, seasonings, rubs, and of course, grills and ready to eat meals as well. Swing by, check them out today. Right there, Highway 51 North in Ridgeland, Mississippi, or online at grillsofms.com. That may be the most doom and gloom ad read I think I've ever done. But, oh man, let's see.
It is the truth, though.
It is the truth. And y'all can go find that whole segment on the podcast. Just go search Clay Edwards Show wherever you listen to podcasts. Hey, Anna just texted in on the Ellis Autoplex text line and said, "This is what a respectful and non-racist speech sounds like. My brother is Ralph Weems IV, and these are my dad's words. He is Ralph Weems III." Okay, I'm going to have to pull that up where I can actually read it. I didn't realize that there was a link attached. And I will check that out, but my eyes ain't awake enough yet to see those small words. And just so I have a witness here. I
would let you borrow my readers, but you couldn't even read it with that.
Yeah, that is how small the words are in this article. So I do promise I will read that. I may have to move it to Microsoft Word and make it as large as possible, but I swear I will read that. Where were we at? Where did we drop off at?
Well, we were talking about who had jurisdiction.
Yes.
And I did the old Google thing real quick to make sure I was correct on what I was about to say. Jackson County does have jurisdiction because the territorial waters were extended out there back in the 1800s, no less. And so that's why they have jurisdiction. It is partially of the national seashore, but the county that it falls in has jurisdiction over them.
I got it. Let me send this text here. We got Tommy Tatum coming in today too, y'all. He's our Wednesday cohort as well, so he'll be in the next segment. I've got him queued up and ready to come in. Really been enjoying getting Tommy's takes on all of this stuff. The guy's got a wealth of knowledge, and I've really, really enjoyed having him as a part of the show on Wednesdays here. So we got some text here on the Ellis Autoplex text line. Our very own Lindsey Beckham says, "Clay, if the toxicology shows some sort of drugs in his system, they're going to jump up and down screaming that the white boys drugged him and slipped him something in his drink." Well, Lindsey, since you said it, let's just say if this shocking this potential shocking information that could come out in these autopsy reports is some type of drugs. Let's just say if. I can't quit sniffling this morning. Anyway, let's just say if that is the case. You're 100% right, Lindsay. They're 100% going to say he got drugged. And there's no way that young Nolan would have ever, as a 18-year-old boy with his buddies, would have possibly ever. And I'm not saying he did, by the way. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying if it were to. There's no way ever an 18, 19-year-old boy would ever do a little toot-toot with his buddies chasing after some women on an island half naked. What are y'all talking about? That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. But let's just say if that were to happen, yes, that's going to be it is going to flip their entire narrative upside down. It's going to go well beyond drinking. Now, we've already got confirmation that he was drinking. And again, y'all know me. I'm not ever going to point a finger at somebody for drinking as long as they're not driving. I enjoy my cold beer. I enjoy my Fireball. I enjoy good whiskey, bad whiskey. Whiskey's like pizza, and close relationships with your significant other. Even when it's bad, it's good. So I finally figured out a way to say that without it being offensive, without having to use the 3-letter S word. So even when it's bad, it's good. So I'm never going to talk bad about anybody drinking as long as they do it responsibly and they don't go to work doing it and stuff like that. So if you like to get out and party, have a cold beer, by all means, man, get out, party, have a cold beer or 2 or 3 or 4, as long as you're not manning the wheel. And I know I said that I was going to play this. Oh, well, let me finish this thought real quick. So here's the thing. Clay Edwards does not care. And I'm not going to look at Nolan any differently if they show that Nolan died of an overdose. I'm not, because we see it happen all the time. One pill can kill. If it's fentanyl, right?
I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I'm not going to judge Nolan any differently. I'd be a damn hypocrite if I did. Who I'm judging differently are the people that have been left in charge of his reputation, that have turned him into some kind of social justice martyr. Because I refuse to look at this man like that. But I can compartmentalize and look at his parents, and I'm saying his parents, they're not getting a free pass anymore from me. I can look at his parents, and I can look at Crump and Sharpton and the online mob that are stirring up this mess. And I can say, y'all are bad people. And to sit there and try to ruin these young men's lives when you could have simply come out early and said, we don't think that any foul play happened. The evidence just does not point to foul play happening. And if the DA and the Jackson County Sheriff's Department hasn't been in touch with them and hasn't been kind of talking to them a little bit along the way, my initial gut reaction, having never been in law enforcement, is maybe shame on them a little bit too. Now, Creston, you can tell me, from personal experience, when you have a case similar to this, obviously not on an island, but say you have a murder victim, do y'all as investigators keep the family kind of in the loop with every little detail as it comes about? Hey, we got a suspect, but we don't want to say anything yet. How does that work? Is it modus operandi to keep the family in the dark or to keep them in the light?
Well, you keep them in the loop as much as you can if it does not hamper your investigation. There are some times that you have to wait to tell people things until you establish say a timeline to make sure where everybody was, if the family could be involved.
And you dang sure don't want to tell them, and I'm just guessing, you dang sure don't want to jump the gun and tell them a suspect's name and that be wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they may have a nut job cousin, a pookie in the family that runs and goes and tries to get revenge before revenge is needed. And you never want that. Literally, you never want that. You want to let the criminal justice system run its course. As I say that, we're going to talk about a story here in a little while of the lady in Memphis that killed the guy under her daughter's bed. I want to get y'all's thoughts on that. But so modus operandi, if I'm using that term correctly,
it could be used that
would be as it's relevant.
Yes.
Information would be given to the family.
Yes, absolutely.
Not every step of the way.
No.
All right. That's kind of what I was thinking. Let's take a break. Let's come back. Let's bring in Tommy Tatum. Tommy Tatum News. Tommy does pretty much the same thing I do, just in the Delta, but tells a lot more national stuff. Let's get Tommy's take on this. And there's another case I want to hit before we get to the top of the hour. I know I said I was going to play that video. We may do that too. I want y'all to hear this video, this maritime law nonsense. It's only about 30 seconds. I have to get to the good part, I think.
I think that'd be wise.
Around 30 seconds to a minute. I'm going to find that during the break because I teased it. And I'm terrible about teasing stuff and then forgetting to do it. So we're going to do that. We're going to bring Tommy in. And I want to talk about this case up in Memphis. The mom shooting the 20-year-old man under her 13-year-old daughter's bed. I say she's a hero, but the public, she's been charged with murder, and people are saying, no, the daughter let him in. And that is come to find out to be true, but does that matter? Daughter's 13, man's 20. That's still rape. That's statutory rape. The mom doesn't know he exists. I'm going to quit teasing it. We'll just talk about it when we come back. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. I'm all over the place this morning. I'm so tired of talking about this Nolan Wells stuff. I'm getting excited talking about something else. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Preston Birch and Tommy Tatum coming up next. 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. 103.9 WYAB. We're streaming worldwide over on the Mazda of Jackson live stream at Save JXN on YouTube and X. That's it. And then at Clay Edwards Show on Rumble. And on Twitch and Facebook. And technically Facebook's at The Clay Edwards Show. Now we've got our friend, Mr. Tommy Tatum News. Tommy, I'm going to keep your volume cut down for just a second. You got a little background noise outside there, but that's fine. Let me get this video queued up here. While I'm getting the video queued up, the special of the day is meatloaf. Y'all know it's my absolute favorite day at Martin's downtown and Livingston. I love their meatloaf. I'm a bit of a meatloafaholic. Is that a thing? Can I be a meatloafaholic?
I think you could be a holic of most anything.
Of anything, right? You know my first email address. And people make fun of me for this. Like somebody said it the other day, like it was a bad thing. Keep in mind, I was 21, 22 when I set up my first email address. I was just like a lot like Nolan and his buddies. Mm-hmm. You know, out on islands having good times, dope rhymes, dope being the key word, good times. Anyway, so my very first email address, it was actually an AOL screen name that just happened to double as an email address, was BudLightaholic69 at AOL.
How original.
You like that? So the very first big major band I booked out at Crazy 8 when we opened it, I was 25 years old. The very first big band I booked was Papa Roach, and they were huge at the time. I mean, huge. They were coming off that first album that sold like 6 million copies. Yeah. They had never played in Mississippi, not even the coast. And here they are playing a barn in Byron, Mississippi. Dude, the finagling and lying I had to do to make this happen. But we also put them in, we booked like a little Mississippi tour. We also put them in Starkville at not Rick's, but at the Hunt Club, which was an old Walmart. So it held like 3,500 people, 4,000 people. And then they come down to Byram, and this club legitimately on a good night, and this before we expanded, held 500 people. Anyway, we put about 3,000 in there that night, but it was rock and roll. They were great people. But I booked that show using that email address, BudLightaholic69 at AOL.com. And I say all that to say this. That should put you in the mind of an 18, 19-year-old boy up there on Horn Island chasing after women with a Bud Light in his hand and thinking about the opportunity of achieving that number on the other end of his brain.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't understand the mind of a young man jacked up on testosterone naturally and alcohol and maybe a little toot mixed together, I don't know what to tell you. We're all looking at this through the lens of responsible adults, not Bud Lightaholic 69ers.
There you go.
You know, so let's play this video here. And, of course, again, don't forget Martin's is Meatloaf Wednesday for the Blue Plate Special. All right. Tommy, can you turn your volume down a little bit for this? Thank you, brother. Let's play this real quick.
Love for Hype Plus News, I'm John Abba. As more information comes out in regards to the mysterious death of Nolan Wells, it gives us more understanding as to what happened that day, as well as what could happen next. On Wednesday, it was revealed that Wells' parents and representatives would meet with Mississippi DA Angel Myers McIlrath to begin looking at the next steps into the case, as the DA would confirm she would now be presenting the investigation to the grand jury. Now, upon researching what we currently know about the case, Nolan's friend and operator of the boat can now be expected to face a series of charges under maritime law. For those who don't know, in general, maritime law is a special body of law designed to govern issues on sea. Every boat and boat operators are expected to abide by these laws or face punishment. Now, one of maritime law's biggest things stressed for boat operators is known as duty of care, which is a legal obligation requiring ship owners, operators, and employers to protect crew members and passengers from harm by maintaining a safe and seaworthy vessel. Now, one thing that looks to be going under the radar is that a passenger is technically considered anyone who left with you on a boat you are operating, and at all times you as the boat operator are deemed responsible for their safety. Now, despite the circumstances that Wells supposedly wanted to stay, it still can be argued that he's still a passenger of the boat that would leave Horn Island at 4:30 p.m. And the fact that Wells was left with no communication, given that his phone was on the boat, makes things worse for the operator. Again, a boat operator's responsibility is to return the specific passengers they brought out. Now, according to research, despite people being there on Horn Island, still does not fully excuse the boat operator from liability, but it can change the severity of the situation. Now, if it is proven that a recreational boat operator would leave Wells knowingly with no phone and a way to communicate for safety and still left, does confirm that that was negligent behavior on the boat operator's end, which for some cases that involve a loss of life, the operator can be charged with involuntary manslaughter and reckless behavior. Now, another thing that would stand out for many is the already drinking that was proven to be taking place that day. Now, it has not been confirmed if the boat operator himself was drinking, but if he did, that would result in another charge known as BUI, or boating under the influence. Which is why for many, the sheriff's initial reaction to the incident, with no arrest being made swiftly, despite the viral picture of 18-year-old Wells and his friends, seemingly of the same age, holding beers in their hands, was not a sense of conducting a thorough investigation, and made some feel that a cover-up was taking place. Now, in the state of Mississippi, the legal drinking age is still 21. Now, to tie it all together, if the toxicology report comes back and Wells was deemed intoxicated at the time of his death, it will multiply the boat operator's liability due to the effects of alcohol and judgment. One of Wells' friends, Tracy Shepard, who was assumed to be...
All right, that's enough. Tommy, turn your volume back up, brother. All right, Tommy, were you able to hear that? All right, so Tommy can't hear us. Creston, you want to debunk a little bit of that for us?
I can debunk it real simply. That's what we'd call a bunch of bull cookies.
Yeah. So maritime law does not apply to passenger boats.
No,
to
pleasure boats.
Pleasure boats.
It applies to now if you're on a deep sea fishing extravaganza outside. Yeah, that would apply because that's under different rules. You're a chartered captain. And stuff like that. It does not apply to pleasure craft. So that nullifies that right off the bat.
All right, BUI.
You got to have some evidence for it.
All right, exactly. So you can't find out somebody was drinking the night before and not be able to prove it. You can't come back and give somebody a DUI, BUI 24 hours later, 48 hours later because you saw a picture of them holding a beer. Or even if they told you they were drinking, right?
You wouldn't have any evidence to prove it.
Right. Because you need to do a field sobriety. I mean, a lawyer would tear that up in court.
Yeah, absolutely. There would, if you bought that case, you would probably be laughed out of the courtroom.
So let's say, for example, somebody has a wreck, a vehicle wreck. Mm-hmm. This probably happens a lot. They leave the scene of an accident. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of times, can they get a DUI? Like, if there's no interaction between them and the police to the next day, what kind of punishment can they get for leaving the scene of the accident, even if they were drunk but you didn't catch them drinking?
Well, the only thing you would get them for is leaving the scene of a crash.
Yeah.
Under state law, you have to report a crash if it's over $500. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Now, if someone else was hurt or something like that, you got a different law. So
Gotcha.
It's duty to report. But as far as
and does that affect your insurance the same way that a DUI would?
Sure. Well, sure, it would to a degree.
Yeah.
Depending on what your insurance company penalties were
for that. Gotcha. All right, let's take a break real quick. Come back. We'll get Tommy. We'll let Tommy back in. He had signed out for a second there, but we'll have Tommy back in, and we're going to get to the top of the hour. But I played that video. Y'all may be asking yourself, Clay, why are you playing internet nonsense? Well, that video has got 300,000 plus views on. I'm sorry, 227,000 views in 4 days on YouTube alone.
Exactly. And if you don't do any research and you just believe that, you believe that narrative straight out.
Yeah. So if you're wondering like where the culture is getting a lot of the nonsense from, they see that it looks official. That guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and he couldn't be more wrong pushing a false narrative. We'll be right back.
They're relevant. We really will.
Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. Real quick, we got a super chat. Thank you, Creston, for noticing it. I'm multitasking this morning and I missed it. Super chat is from Mad Cow Moo. I like it. 1723. Question: if an autopsy comes back and he drowned, will they believe it or still try to blame the boys in his unaliving? That's the real question. Oh, I think 100% they will try to blame the boys no matter what. I mean, they'll basically just say that they held him down and drowned him. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's where we're at with this. They have firmly rooted their feet in the sand, and they're saying that he was killed by these boys is what they're saying. Because I've been asking this for a while. Like they keep hollering justice for Nolan. Well, I know what justice for Nolan is. Justice is a proper investigation, and you accept the facts of that investigation. But that's not what they want. They want. That's why they're pushing propaganda like the video I just played.
Absolutely.
You know, justice for them is we want a scalp no matter what. They left the boy there. They deserve to go to jail for leaving him there. You know, they keep pushing this narrative for a reason.
Yeah, they turn the flames up, burn everything down, and leave you to pick up the ashes in their wake.
All right, we will be right back here in just a minute. When we come back, we'll have Tommy Tatum back in with us, and we'll have the press conference pulled up too, streaming live. Boom, shaka, laka, boom. You're tuned in to Hour 2, the most incendiary show on the RADIO. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards, and I actually did that wrong. I've been butchering my hourly things. I've been getting Hour 1 and Hour 2 mixed up. You know, it is a little, I have tweaked it some. It's Boom Shakalaka Boom is the intro for Hour 1. And it's Boom Goes La Dynamite is the intro for Hour 2. But I don't know. I just can't get it right here lately.
Well, it's your show. You can change it when you want to.
Yes, I can. Well, we'd like to mix things up a little bit. We've got our good friend, Mr. Tommy Tatum, in with us. Tommy, good morning, brother.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me better now.
Man,
I had to make a little slight change.
Perfection. No, not a
Perfect.
Single bit of background noise or feedback. Tommy, before we get to you, I just want to introduce you real quick. We got to pay the bills here. So y'all keep in mind, Anglin Plumbing. That's ANGLIN Plumbing. Look, they can do all your plumbing needs. New construction, remodels, grill installations if you want to convert your grill that you just got from Grills in Mississippi over to gas. If you're building a outdoor kitchen, you need the gas hookups. They can do all that. So whether it's water, gas, anything, they can do it. Let's just get an understanding there. There's no job too big, no job too small. Unclogging a toilet, they came and did it for me the other day, snaked one for me. Dishwasher disposal gone out, they can replace it. Again, no job too big or small. But here's the thing. Here's what they're really advertising here for. It is employee recruitment. So if you are looking for a job, if you want to get into the trades, there's so much noise right now about getting into the trades. I watched a great video last night. I'm not going to get into it today, but we are one day this week. The big push to get into trades is kind of backfiring on us a little bit because people are defaulting on their trade school loans at a higher clip than regular schools, and it's kind of catching people off guard. But people are going in and they're getting a trade degree for trades that they can't do in their area. And I never even thought about that, but this guy broke it down and made a really good point. He's like, if you got everybody can't afford to up and move to go do such a fill in the dot trade somewhere. So I say all that to say this: you don't have to go to trade school to become a plumber. You're going to get an apprenticeship working at Anglin. You're going to start off at or near about $50,000 a year if you ain't scared to work, if you ain't scared to get dirty, and you're going to learn a trade that I firmly believe, and Mike Rowe said this on Sean Ryan's podcast, blue-collar trade workers are the next millionaires. I mean, some already are. Yep. But you go do that 4 or 5 years, and you could be, making $250,000, $300,000 a year, if not more, working for somebody else. So just keep in mind, if you're on the fence, and especially if you're a little younger, in your 30s, you're unhappy with what you're doing, you may have to take a little step back on the financial side. You may be making 70, 80 grand, 100 grand a year. You may need to take a little step back because that job ain't going to be there much longer. What are you going to do when it goes away? And all jobs in that segment go away. Be thinking ahead. Reach out to Anglin Plumbing, Dylan and the team today. AnglinPlumbing.com, ANGLIN plumbing.com. All right, my good friend, Mr. Tommy Tatum, my other good buddy here, Mr. Creston Birch. I've got the press conference here pulled up. Looks like they're getting ready to go live, so I'll be kind of toggling back and forth here. Tommy, have you been listening to us discuss this whole Nolan Wells thing, this maritime law nonsense, any of that?
Yeah, I've caught everything you said this morning. And the maritime law thing, Preston, maybe you can fill in the blanks for me, but that sounds an awful lot like sovereign citizens talk.
Not to the degree he's saying. This is more a confusion of what between pleasure craft and crafts for hire.
Okay. I say that because I see a lot of people go to court and they've taken a mishmash of things their friends have told them, some things they've read in a law book, and they say you have no authority over me, yada, yada, yada. And
okay,
it
I get
seems to stem from the maritime law stuff.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, so they've got it all confused. They're just, and I play all that not to highlight somebody just being stupid, but I play it because it's important. Because this is what random people that may not know this, they may not know that maritime law doesn't apply to pleasure vessels, and they hear that and they're like, "Oh, well, why haven't they been arrested? They clearly broke the law." And like I said, that video's got almost 300,000 views, and just on YouTube.
The truth, the lie gets around the world before the truth can get up and put its pants on in the morning.
Tommy, and that's exactly why I've decided to start addressing, a lot of these people who spread these lies and stuff about me instead of ignoring them away, because that's exactly what happens. You see lies about you from people, and they come across so convincing, like the clowns and the loon squad up in North Mississippi, and the lies that they start to spread about you. And next thing you know, you run these pages that you don't run. You are a woman abuser, a sexual abuser, and all these other things because they believe the lie they're telling. And if you just don't address it,
amen,
you pour fuel on a fire. So that's why I think you got to address
that if you don't address it, I've also noticed that if you don't address it, the people in the chat go wild and just start piling on. It becomes like a self-fulfilling thing. So, stand up for yourself, brother.
Absolutely. We got a super chat here also. I want to make sure we read this real quick. This is from the same person. It says Mad Cow Moo 1723. I love reading YouTube screen names. I just enjoy it so much. It says, I was with black community 100% until I seen how they rallied behind Carmelo Anthony and wanted an unalive free that where I lost all respect. Oh yeah, where they wanted it to be able to get free for unaliving. I appreciate you using the unaliving language. There's a reason we have to do that when we stream. It's because if you say, M word, the K word, stuff like that, the YouTube algorithm, Facebook algorithm will derank you.
Yeah, we can't use the English language anymore.
Yeah, I know. And trust me, it's annoying. And yes, we are a radio show first, but we do have a large audience that watches online, so we like to take care of that as well. And like I say, I am flipping back and forth here. They're getting ready. They're getting the stage set up. So I imagine it'll be the next segment. Where's that static coming from? Unfortunately, Tommy's got bad static. Tommy, you got some bad static, brother. Can you?
Try to fix it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep you pulled down there until you do. I hate that. We just seem to have problems with that a good bit. I'm gonna toggle him off. My apologies to folks out there. We just want to give you the best show possible here. Like with the most opinions and diverse opinions and stuff. So we'll get Tommy queued back up. It looks like he's resetting his stuff there. Let me remove that. All right, there we go. Why don't we read a couple of y'all's chats here while we wait on Crump to go live? Yep, Peekaboo, we noticed. We know we have static. Thank y'all for letting me know. Thank y'all. Y'all are running a little bit on a delay there, so we will get back to that. So I guess now would be a good time while we're waiting on them to get started to just have a whole other conversation. There's this case up in Memphis where this woman has been arrested and charged with, I think I got to say to my bookmarks here. She's being charged with murder for killing. Yeah, boom. Here it is. I actually got it. A Memphis mother's bond has been set at $100,000 after she shot and killed a 20-year-old man she found hiding under her 13-year-old daughter's bed. The teen had secretly let him in after the two planned to meet. It's now being revealed that the victim was, quote unquote, mentally disabled and had special needs, according to his teachers. I'm fed damn up with mental issues being the blame every time somebody does something bad. Oh, he had mental issues. And he knew he didn't have enough mental issues to pass up the chance of some woo-ha. He knew what he was doing. He got it dangled out in front of him. Oh, she's only 13. Hey, look, I don't want to argue with you. Yes, she's only 13, but some of these 13-year-olds looking hyper over-sexualized. And the way they dress and act and all this other stuff in the day and age of social media, I take it all the way back to Britney Spears, when she, dang it, I lost my dang video. When she, was being all hypersexual and stuff with the baby one more time stuff and all that, But what do y'all think? Is the mother in the wrong? Kristen?
I don't know all the facts of the case, and the reason I'm saying that is because I've heard a couple of different versions, and that was he was found under the bed. Mama took care of business. Then I heard that he had escaped the residence and was outside getting away or running away when he was taken care of. So I don't know which way to go. I don't know which way to lean on that. If she found him, if she did it while he was under the bed, I'd say she's got might have a case there. If she did it after the, quote, threat was over, might be some issue.
Yeah, so the running away and shooting somebody when they're retreating, that's where it can turn into manslaughter or murder even.
Sure.
Man, I'm so conflicted on that.
Well, is the threat still viable is the question. It is, like I said, she does it while he's coming out from under the bed. I think she's got a rock solid case. You start, somebody fleeing out of the house and you taking shots at them and kill them, you might have an issue. Now, granted, you have, stand your ground laws, you have the castle doctrines and so on and so forth, but it's what reasonably occurred at that time. Was the force reasonably necessary?
I gotcha. Man, I'm conflicted on that one. Really, really conflicted.
I'm not saying that the lady was wrong. If I find some 20-year-old in my 13-year-old daughter's room, I don't care if she invited him or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Let's. We've got some action here on this press conference. I do want to give that. Well, they're back off the stage now. Somebody was on stage talking, so we'll dive in on the press conference here. So let's stay on this topic about this woman. And I know if y'all are listening, it sounds like we're all over the place. This is what happens when you're trying to cover a live event that's not starting on time. So you're going to have a little back and forth here. This is why we don't do this a whole lot on this show, because it kind of turns into train wreck radio. It's like I have a whole new respect after doing this for a little bit now. I have a whole new respect for listening to or watching a sporting event that's in rain delay.
Oh, absolutely.
And the host having to fill the time. And now, granted, they have producers and they plan for this kind of stuff, and they have stuff they can play and all of that. But
that's why they go to old reruns of games and things like that.
Exactly. Let me see if I can get this to look a little bit better here. Why is it doing that? I'm going to have to take the chat off the screen when we get back to playing this video, because it is screwing up the way it's formatted on the screen. But I tell you what we can do in the meantime. We can play the news article from this woman here real quick, kind of the clip I was just looking at, and we can kind of toggle between two stories here. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see here. Change. We can change the screen. We have the technology. And everybody's like, this is why you need a producer. The producer is more screwed up than I do. Here we go. This is about the woman up in Memphis.
Following new developments in the case of a Memphis mother accused of shooting and killing a man she says she found hiding under her daughter's bed. In court this morning, Kendra Scott, who is charged with first-degree murder, had her bond set at $100,000 and was also ordered not to have contact with the victim's family. Memphis police say when they initially arrived to the scene last week, the victim, Rodarius Morton, was found dead near the home's porch after he had been shot in the back of the head. WREG's Shay Arthur is live tonight after speaking with a former teacher of Morton's and what she wants people to know about him. Shay?
Hey, Stephanie. Yeah, she says this case could have been handled so many other ways, not ending with a 20-year-old man being killed.
Perkins says she's the former middle school teacher of Rodarius Morton, who Memphis police say was shot and killed early last Thursday morning in the Walker Homes neighborhood. She said Morton had learning disabilities.
He was special needs, and I was his special needs teacher.
She described him as soft-spoken and respectful, shocked by his death.
Unbelievable. Very, very hurt, because the young man that I knew that most people don't know, based off of this story, they don't know him personally like I did.
In court paperwork, an underage girl told police Morton came to her house early Thursday morning through a back door. Her mother, Kendra Scott, then showed up banging on the door, yelling, "Who was at my house?" Scott says she went inside and found Morton hiding under the girl's bed. Police say as Morton was leaving the home unarmed, he was shot somewhere near the front porch. Detectives discovered he had a gunshot wound to the back of his head. The girl told police her mother has told her in the past if she discovered a boy in the home, he would be faced with violence.
People look at this and they say, well, he should have been in that situation in the first place.
And I agree. I do agree. I do not condone his actions as going and mingling with a 13-year-old. However, when you're cognitively not 20, what do you expect? And then I found out last night that from his sister, no one knew that he was gone away from the house.
Perkins believes Morton thought the girl was older and didn't understand the law.
I just wish she wouldn't have never shot him. That's it. There were so many opportunities for her to stop and think. So many different ways that this could have had a different outcome. So many different ways. Call the police. If you got a gun, hold them there to gunpoint till the police gets there.
Yeah, and Stephanie, Scott is due back here in court next month for.
All right, so that's that's a lot of information there that I didn't have. That's the first time I've actually paid attention to anything that was going on. That I just kind of saw the headline. Even with all that said, man, you can't do it. I got to stand with the homeowner. I got to stand with the homeowner, and I'm also a parent of a young girls and stuff, and it just hits me differently, I guess. One of the videos we played several times on this show in the past 7 days has been that black woman that was on News Nation, and she asked the host, "Are you a parent?" And he said, "No." And she said, "Well, then you don't have an opinion on this." And I feel like as a parent, I don't want to tell anybody that's not a parent, they don't have an opinion on stuff either, by the way. But as a parent, I do look at it a little bit differently as a parent as a girl dad. If I find somebody under my daughter's bed and they don't clearly have like Down syndrome or something, I mean, you got about 2 or 3 seconds to explain, kind of what's going on. Well, actually, you don't have any seconds. And even if you have Down syndrome, you got about 2 or 3 seconds to explain. But I may question the mental acuity of the situation. But in the heat of the moment, somebody under the bed, they're running, you don't know if they could turn around and shoot. I got to go with the homeowner on this. I don't like the retreating. I have a duty not to shoot if they're retreating nonsense. I'm going to have to go with shoot first, ask questions later.
It's just one of those things you got to look at it from the legal standpoint. And I wish our good friend Sean was here to help me with this. But looking at it from a law enforcement standpoint, I'm afraid she's probably going to be charged and found guilty. That's just an opinion off the rip from this.
Sure. I mean, I'm not saying if you look at the letter of the law, you're correct.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the letter of common sense, I think the law is wrong, or at least has some room for some gray area.
Yeah. Well, I hope it works out the best for that mom, because, like I said, put in that situation, I don't know what you or I would do.
Right.
So I'm going to give her some grace on that.
One of the questions would be, we got to take a break. One of the questions would be, did she know this boy? Had the mom ever seen this boy before? That I would like to, it's just the first interaction she ever had with him. Was she aware of his existence? I would like to know some of that. And maybe that's out there. I'm literally just saw this morning, and that's the furthest I've dug into it. So there's some room for conjecture. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. And it looks like we may have just lost Tommy for the day. We'll get him back in tomorrow, maybe, if he can come back in. You got Preston Birch, you got Clay Edwards, and we are waiting on Ben Crump to go live at any moment. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. We're going to go straight into coverage of the press conference for the Nolan Wells autopsy. Ben Crump's not speaking yet. On stage right now is NAACP President Derek Johnson. Do what?
Crump's on now.
Crump's on now. You got a better feed than I got then. So let me get the volume up.
You should not be confronted with this reality. Attorney Crump. ACP and being there during the homegoing services to help the family go through what no parents want to go through. Thank you to Chairman Leon Russell, my longtime mentor from Florida, who helped raise so many of us. Thank you for always being there, Chairman Russell. As President Johnson said, I'm Attorney Ben Crump, representing the family of Nolan Wells. But it's not just me, it is a team effort of incredible, dedicated lawyers and investigators and paralegals. Attorney Lisa Park, attorney who you'll hear from in a few minutes, Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Gary Buchan, Attorney Camila Moore, Cliff Jones, Jared Presson, Alan Williams, our whole team of people who are committed, as I said, President Johnson, on this ferocious search for the truth of what really happened to Nolan Wells. But before we begin to discuss the intricacies of the preliminary findings of the independent autopsy, we think it would be appropriate for you all to hear from the people who knew Nolan Wells best, so they can thank you themselves and tell you about the trials and tribulations that they have been enduring since July 4th. July 4th will never be the same for them. I bring to the podium Nolan Wells' mother and father, Christine.
Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all want to hear what the family has to say. I don't care one way or another at this point, but I guess we can kind of come in and out a little bit. But if it gets a little long-winded, we will chime back in and kind of talk over them a little. Honestly, at this point, the family's made it clear what they think about all this. So unless they're going to anyway, we'll turn it back up for a minute.
It's been a difficult journey. Losing a child, it truly breaks your heart. It is a pain that is just, you can't measure it. Especially someone like Nolan, who brought so much joy and light and life to everyone. You don't find too many genuine people like him. So to lose that light at such a young age under these circumstances has been absolutely difficult, which is why we've gone this route. There's so many people out in the public asking all of these questions, but the only question that we have is what happened to our son. That is the only question.
All right, radio audience, we got to take a break online. I'm going to cut the volume back up as soon. Let's go ahead and take this break now so we don't have to interrupt Crump's speech when he comes back. WYAB audience, we'll be right back in 4 minutes. Radio online, Mazda Jackson live stream. You're not going anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's been difficult for us, but we are leaning into our faith, leaning into one another, also leaning into all of you. There are not enough thank yous, not enough appreciation for what you guys have done for us. And we do. We love you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. And so it is our hope that our local authorities will do what they need to do, because us having the preliminary autopsy results and hearing nothing from them, it's heartbreaking and it's concerning, which again is why we are here, why we have asked for this help. So again, thank you all so much for your support. We appreciate you. We really do.
Every day I wake up, it's a new challenge. Knowing that a part of me I will never talk to, I will never hold, I will never play around with or get mad at, is not here anymore. Nolan brought a lot of joy to our family. He was the wittiest one out of everyone. The clown.
It's a damn shame they didn't let him speak at the funeral.
He loved to put in the work because he wanted to be the best. He wanted to make me and his mother proud, and we were so proud of him just for being the person that he was. He was loving. All his teachers knew him, but loved him. He walks in the room, his aura, you're automatically drawn to it. Never met an enemy, and if there were, they would eventually be friends, because they would eventually bond, and it's going to be hard. He should be at football practice right now, calling me out to practice. Dad, I made this play, or I made that play, or I get a text with 3 or 4 videos of him doing this, running this route, making this block. And what you think I should do? And I will give my honest, because I always tell her, if anyone is going to be totally honest with you, it's going to be me. And it's not because I'm being mean, but people outside of your family are going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to know to make you better. it's going to be hard for our family from here on out. And like I said, every day is a challenge. We're going to miss our son. And like my wife said, we just want honesty. We want to know what happened to our son, because the things that you're telling us, that's not the character of our son. We know our son. I understand, our children would do things that, that would kind of dumbfound us sometimes, but the things that we're being told, that wasn't Nolan. So please keep us in your prayers, keep him in your prayers, and we're going to keep pushing and fighting until we find answers. Thank you guys for your love and support.
Thank you so much, Christine.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're going right back to the Ben Crump press conference.
Attorney Lisa Park to tell you about who was the forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsy. Attorney Lisa Park.
Thank you. Dr. Roger Mitchell could not join us today.
Probably because he didn't want his name on this stench.
Before we reveal and unfold this report, that you understand who conducted this autopsy. Dr. Roger Mitchell is a physician and board-certified forensic pathologist with 2 decades of experience. He currently serves as the president of the National Medical Association, which is the oldest and largest group of black physicians in the U.S.
Black physicians. Because that's relevant.
Most recently, he also served as president of Howard University Hospital, chief medical officer of the Howard University Faculty Practice Plan, and chair of the Department of Pathology. Before joining Howard, he served as chief medical examiner for Washington, D.C. from 2014 to 2021, and is later as interim deputy mayor for the Public Safety and Justice. Dr. Mitchell has conducted and managed thousands of autopsies and is nationally recognized for his work at the intersection of medicine, public health, and justice. And for this case, we sought out the very best, and we are proud to be working with the very best.
Thank you, Attorney Park. I again want to express our gratitude to President Johnson, Chairman Russell, and the NAACP, because civil rights is more important than ever in the United States of America today. And so we thank you for the civil rights leaders stepping up to say that our children's lives matter now more than ever. And I want to thank all of you for getting up 8 in the morning. If people could see how many people are gathered here, they would.
Well, hold on. Most people are up by 8 o'clock. It's called having a damn job.
Port of America, Christine, and Elmore. And I want to thank the media for covering this matter.
For pushing this narrative.
Because they don't always cover when our children are taken away from us.
It's all they do is cover it when y'all's children are taken or hurt by somebody that don't look like them.
I do understand there's a lot of news going on in America today. I woke up to them saying LeBron James is going to announce where he's going to play basketball next year.
Miami. They let it leak.
I'm very happy that the media said this story is just as important. It's just as important. and I'm sure LeBron James and Rich Paul and, Stephon Curry and Draymond Green.
Why are we discussing the NBA?
Because it ain't got what they got a big nothing sandwich here.
I'm afraid some bad news is coming, folks.
Well, I'm glad.
And many other players in the National Basketball Association will all agree that our children's lives are far more important than where LeBron or any other player will play next year. And so that's why I thank you all for being here, because this news is as important as any news in the United States of America. Finding out why is Nolan Wells dead?
Because he drowned. Slightly intoxicated, allegedly.
And I want to thank you all who have called the call center. I want to thank Reverend Al Sharpton. I want to thank Mr. Tyler Perry. I want to thank Mr. Terry Owens for putting up the $125,000 reward for anybody out there who have information.
They put that up knowing that there ain't no information.
Yeah, they ain't going to pay that chick.
No. They had a little access to that autopsy.
From that day, from young people, and we want them to have the courage to come forward with the pictures, what you heard. I know people said there were a lot of disturbances out there. Some believe it involved Nolan. All of those things are important to get to the truth of what happened. The fact, Christine, that the United Cajun Navy are so forthcoming. The fact that they told us, we haven't heard from any of their local officials, that Nolan was found face down, fully clothed. Well, that's significant to us because the last time we saw him on the videos, he was without a shirt. So,
sometimes when you've been out in the sun for a long time, you put a shirt back on so you don't get sunburned. And if he told his friends to leave, he may keep his shirt. Not just, there's reasons why he didn't have the phone.
Know something. So, Scott X, we're trying to just make sure people understand that you can call the Nolan Wells tip line. At bencrump.com, we will gladly listen to you, take any information as we try to put together this puzzle.
This is his way of telling you they don't know anything.
To Nolan Wells. And today, we're going to add some more parts to this puzzle. Because my legal team and I, we stand for truth.
Truth. T-R-U-F.
No matter who it implicates or who it exonerates.
There it is.
We stand for justice, no matter who it convicts or it acquits.
They love rhyming.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to preach.
Ever since Johnny Cochran said if it doesn't fit, you got to acquit. It's one istaturianism.
And we don't need government officials having to narrate it for you and me. We can see it for ourselves. Transparency.
Well, quit narrating it for us.
That leads to the truth. The truth is the foundation for accountability and justice. And that's all we're seeking, as Christina Elmore said from day one. So with that, and Christina Elmore, if you all want to sit, we're about to go through this.
Hey, everybody watching, would y'all hit the like button for me, please? Hit that like button on the online stream. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button for us, please. All of it really, really helps out as we bring all this to you this morning. They're in between guests here, so we're going to talk for a second. Here's a little programming note. We got to take a We can go up to 8:55, and I got to take another break. We'll keep streaming on the online on the Mazda Jackson live stream. If this goes over the 9 o'clock hour, we will stay with it online because we don't have a live show coming in the studio next. I will stay with this till the end. If it goes beyond 9, we may stay a little past that anyway and kind of break it down and read some of your online comments. You can text the Ellis Autoplex text line at 769-241-1944. Let's go back to the stream.
Robbery to pay for the autopsy. Let's go for the first one. So,
now, while they're doing this, I want to say something real quick. We got a loser in the comments calling me a predator and a vulture for says I make a living off the culture. Well, the culture is blaming white folks for these murders. Y'all blame us for all your problems. So, yeah, I have no problem getting my reparations from the culture for what they did to my city, my hometown, forcing me to have to move to Rankin County to find a safe life. So you're damn right, I'm going to make a living off the culture, and I'm going to smile the whole time I do it. I'm getting my reparations. How you going to get yours? You ain't getting them from me. All right, they're setting up this autopsy thing here.
So, Dr. Roger Mitchell, board-certified forensic pathologist, performed a preliminary report on the death of Nolan Xavier Wells. He conducted and presented this report on July 19, 2026. Preliminary report, second autopsy, death of Nolan Xavier Wells. Cause of death, undetermined, pending investigation. And we'll explain that as we go through the report this morning. The manner of death, undetermined, pending investigation.
Not death by racism?
Statement of examination. This forensic pathologist was retained to perform a second autopsy examination on the body of Nolan Xavier Wells. Name of decedent, Nolan Xavier Wells. Age, 18 years old. Race, black. Gender, male. Date of death, unknown. Second autopsy date was performed on July 10th, 2026. Preliminary findings. And this is significant. Focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region. He said the etiology is unknown at this time. He said the body was received after the initial autopsy. He said the body had marked decompensation. He said corona incision of the scalp, brain removal, Y-shaped incision of the anterior torso, and he talked about the organs being removed as is common.
These idiots think he's saying the white boys did this to him.
Body cavity.
Remember, there was an autopsy before this one.
Removed from the body, and they're dissected and examined, and then they're put back in a bag within inside the body. So when they're buried, their remains will all be with them. But in this occasion, if there's going to be a second autopsy, then the organs are put in the body cavity, so the second pathologist could be able to examine the organs as well. very significant for Dr. Mitchell was that the anterior inner neck structures were absent, not received with the body. And we'll explain that in just a minute. And then it talks about the additional procedures performed during the second autopsy. And we'll go into the paragraphs on that there because he explains it better in his narrative.
Radio, I hate to do it to y'all. We got to take a break on radio. You can join us on the live stream at Save JXN on YouTube and X, and at Clay Edwards Show on Facebook. We'll be right back in 4 minutes.
So, he talks in the preliminary discussion, opinion. This forensic pathologist identified several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. And that's important. He talks about the fact that we didn't get to see the body when it was first recovered, like the medical examiner working for Mississippi would have seen. He talked about the second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decompensation or changes. Marked decompensation can obscure the presence and absence of bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy examination. What he's saying, because the body was so decomposed that you couldn't tell if there was bruises or abrasions on the body when he received it on the 10th of July. For these reasons, additional dissection procedures not performed during the first autopsy examination were performed to rule out potential blunt force injuries responsible for the death. These procedures included facial dissection, posterior head and neck dissection, dissection of the ribs, the pelvic, dissection of the subcutaneous and deep soft tissue, dissection of the back, the buttocks, the arms, and legs. He did all of this to rule out things. He ruled out there were no fractures or deep tissue injuries identified. This was very important because he wanted to be very thorough and very transparent, because transparency is the key to getting to the answers of why Nolan Wells is not with us. So he did that there and was very straightforward, very open, very open. He says, however, dissection of the back of the head during the layered posterior neck dissection revealed a 12 by 8 inch focal area of red discoloration in the deep soft tissues overlaying the occipital bone. And he talked.
Welcome back in. Welcome back in, WYAB audience.
And we actually saw the.
We'll be going to the top of the hour. Our hard break is at 59:40. As soon as this ends, we're staying live on the Mazda Jackson live stream at Save JXN on YouTube.
His head. And so he was important to note that in his report. He said that etiology of this finding is unclear. There are no lacerations of the overlaying skin nor fractures of the underlying skull. These findings are inconclusive for perimortem injury due to both the extensive decomposition and the absence of associated injuries. This finding, however, is significant enough to be highlighted in this preliminary report for further investigation. It is important to reiterate that the finding could not have been observed in the first autopsy because the posterior head and neck...
All right, WYAB audience, we are coming to an end on the radio. Join us online. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
He said another limitation faced by this forensic pathologist was the absence of the anterior internal neck structures. The trachea and the laryngeal cartilage, the thyroid horn, and the hyoid bone were not received with the body. So he's saying that the throat was not received with the body when he got Nolan Wells' body in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy. And so let's discuss that with what he said about that. He said, it is assumed that the initial pathologist retained these structures for additional evaluation. He said the retention of the anterior neck structures during an initial autopsy is a common forensic pathology practice. He was chief medical examiner for 7 years in Washington, D.C., and he said that if they had concern about throat or any fracture or compression of the throat, they too will hold them back. He doesn't know why they held the throat back, but he said the throat was not with the body of Nolan Wells when he received it in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy. He said, nevertheless, a posterior neck dissection performed without review of the anterior neck structures is incomplete. Therefore, this pathologist cannot rule out injury to the neck as a contributor or a cause of death. He said he would need to have the medical examiner in Mississippi allow him to review the throat. That's why he said his autopsy is undetermined pending investigation. Remember, it's about transparency. Because the initial autopsy rightfully removed and dissected each organ, there are additional limitations inherent in the second autopsy of Nolan Wells. The most significant of the limitations was the inability to directly observe the airway and the lungs for water and directly observe the stomach for gastric contents. He said it is very significant as to what the initial forensic scientists who got to review the body when it was recovered. We have heard this information is especially important for those deaths of persons who can swim. As in the case with Nolan Wells, at the time of this report, this forensic pathologist does not know the condition of Nolan Wells. He did not know whether he was conscious or unconscious when he entered the water. He said that would be significant. He said he did not know whether he was forced into the water or unforced into the water. He said that would be significant. So he said the condition of Nolan Wells before he entered the water would be the crux of the matter. It would be of utmost importance to being able to determine a cause and manner of death. He said, definitive circumstances of death are required to determine the manner of death. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out, and let me really call your attention to this. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out if any intervening non-accidental factors contributed to or caused the death of Nolan Wells. Understand, he said based on the examination of the body, he cannot rule out foul play. That is significant. With the following questions still outstanding, number one, what were the circumstances that led to Nolan Xavier Wells entering the water? Number two, what was the body position when it was found? We know that a member of the United Cajun Navy said that he was face down and he was fully clothed. Number three, was there water in the airway? Remember he talked about the lungs and the airways where they filled with water. Number four, is there any evidence of injuries to the anterior neck structure? We got the autopsy without his neck. We got the body without his neck at the time of the second autopsy. Number five, is there any evidence of any intracranial hemorrhage? He said that is going to be very significant. Things that he could not observe at autopsy that the initial medical examiner would have been able to observe. Number six was the composition of the stomach contents. He talks about that being important because when was he found? How long had he been in the water? How long had it been since his last meal? All those things become relevant factors when you're trying to do a thorough and impartial autopsy. And number seven, what are the toxicology report findings? He said the best classification again for the cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells is undetermined pending investigation. This forensic pathologist reserves the right to review and incorporate additional forensic pathology information into his opinion as it becomes available. He says the above opinions are expressed to a reasonable degree of medical certainty. Dr. Roger A. Mitchell, July 19, 2026. And we know that, as I said, this is only another part of the puzzle. And even though it tells us significant information, we still have more questions than we have answers at this time.
That's because you're an idiot, and every word that comes out of his mouth, I lose more and more respect for the culture.
We're getting the answers to these questions because yes, we will persist because as Christine and Elmore and Attorney Parker and I talked this morning, we know that there are so many conflicting stories. The fact that she said him being found face down the fact that we have other videos where people who have called said that is Nolan, who is in some kind of dispute with others. We're looking at all of these things. The fact that the GPS tracking of the boat is being questioned by many. We're trying to dot every I and cross
questioned by a
every
bunch
T.
of friggin' idiots.
Because we understand that when our children's lives are at stake, it matters. Not just what happened, but what we do in the aftermath of them being taken away from us. And just like the NAACP stood up when another tragedy in Mississippi taking the life of young Emmett Till, we will stand up for those.
There it is. There it is. There's Emmett Till. I've been waiting on it.
Just like the NAACP and civil rights leaders stood up when another Mississippi son was taken in Medgar Evers. We will stand up for Nolan Wells.
The greatest hits coming in now.
And just like too many of our young people, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Botham Jean, Terrence Crutcher, Stephon Clark, Sandra Bland, Atiana Jefferson, Alton Sterling, Eric Gardner, George Floyd, Tamir Rice, the young people who I was trying to focus on. Gary, we stand up until we get the truth.
Steve Brown says, Clay, you were wrong. What was I wrong about? What was I wrong about, Steve? I was 100% right. 100% right.
Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells.
We didn't even get the chance right. No justice, no peace, justice,
Elmore
no
and
will.
President Johnson can come back and join us on the stage, and Travail, we will have you coordinate questions and answers for us or President Johnson or Attorney Park and I will say this: as President Johnson comes to the stage, I was sharing this with him and Chairman Russell, Chris King Clark. God knows we wish we had you at the Department of Justice now.
So we can narrate our own narratives and arrest innocent people.
As I was sharing with President Johnson and Reverend Al and others, this is so important that we continue to talk about Nolan Wells and what happened to him, and that we get attention on him, because in getting attention on him, it brings attention, Cliff Jones, to other cases that are not getting their attention as of yet. But I'm so grateful to Christine and Elmore, because they said whatever we can do, not only to help our son, but to help these other young black boys who was killed the July 4th holiday. And I want to take a moment before we answer your questions to talk about two other young black men, both 18 years old, who were killed in extraordinary ways that are very similar to Nolan.
Well, they couldn't swim?
President Johnson, 18-year-old Daniel Irvins.
I think I may have said this already. I don't care if you're
went
Michael Phelps and you get caught in the riptide out there, unless you know how to navigate it. I'm not saying I could.
Young men, he was the only black.
It's that simple.
It is alleged that he ended up accidentally drowning. But his two white friends got his cell phone and threw it away, got his clothes and threw it away.
Allegedly.
And then went and deleted all of their text messages with him and social media.
Allegedly.
Sounds familiar? And they've only been charged with tampering with evidence. And his mother is crying out that they should be charged with murder, because if they would lie about his cell phone and his clothes and deleted messages, then they will lie about what really happened to Daniel Irvin. And then there's the matter of President Johnson, Christian Clark, of 18-year-old Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith, on 4th of July, was at a house party with about 10 other people. He was the only black person at the house. He somehow ends up shot in the head, dead. Some of the friends get rid of the gun. The police show up. They tell the police it was an accident. It was an accidental shooting, that they were playing Russian roulette. And Tyler Smith ended up getting killed. And apparently, Christian Clark, President Johnson, the police just took their word for it. His mother and grandmother are incensed. They asked the police, did you do a gunshot residue test on his hands? And the reason they said they had to call us, like Daniel Irvin's and Nolan Wells' family, because the police told them, President Johnson, that there was no need to do gunshot residue on his hands or any of the other people in the house, because I don't understand this logic. But
all right, let's wind that down and let's get into these chats here. Creston, all right, we got the guy with me. This is Creston Birch, 30-year, recently retired law enforcement here in the state of Mississippi. One of the questions that we have here from an idiot is, just keeps telling me I've been wrong, is Steve Brown. And he says, somebody please answer me this. Why were body parts missing for the second autopsy? And he's referring to body parts as organs.
Yes.
So explain why something would have been missing from the state's autopsy to the independent autopsy.
I can't 100% answer that question.
Yeah.
But either way, whether they had every piece of tissue or not, he's still going to come up with the same end conclusion.
Right.
It doesn't matter what he had. What they're trying to say is, with the neck area, is that he was strangled. They talked about the hyoid bone. And
this is what he's trying to insinuate.
All the tissue. That's what they're trying to insinuate,
right, that
he could have been strangled. They also talked about the discoloration of the skin on the back of the head. That happens after death in some cases.
Yeah.
So all these are insinuations to keep the narrative running.
You have to take a big leap of faith.
Oh, absolutely.
To assume that any of this is right, to assume that the state crime lab is somehow in on a cover-up of this high profile of a case.
Again, as we said time and time again, this is Mississippi and there's a cover-up.
Oh, yeah. So, but to insinuate that there's some kind of massive cover-up, why? That's the part that always, this is the why. Why would there be a cover-up? Who has to gain from a cover-up that would be taking part in the cover-up? It's like, look, forever I've believed in aliens, and I'm sure there are some out there, but it's like Joe Rogan, like all these people say, let's not do the alien. Let's do the moon landing, and I agree with my friend Sean. I disagree with Lindsay. The amount of people who would have to partake in the cover-up to hide the fact that we didn't go to the moon would it'd be impossible.
It would be mathematically impossible.
Thousands of people would have to have taken it to their grave and never ran their mouths. Impossible. 2 people can't do anything without one of them running their mouth.
You can't have 5 people in a room and keep a secret long enough.
Yeah, so what would the state crime lab have to benefit, risk their careers, their freedom, everything to help cover up something because some random nobody judge down in Jackson County or wherever Ashley Cole is a judge at. And I don't mean no disrespect to her, but just in the big picture, she ain't nobody. In the big picture, I never heard of her before. So because her stepson is involved in something, it's a cover up. We've seen way too many examples. We just put the whole damn goon squad in jail. The whole damn goon squad. 4 or 5 members of the Rankin County Sheriff's Department.
Yep.
In prison for 20 plus years each at minimum, give or take.
Right where they belong.
Right where they belong. There was no cover up there. Now, you may not like the sheriff's response. You may not like that there's no proof that he was involved or knew or whatever. You might not like that. But what you can't argue with is the state stepped up and there was no blue shield or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That the people that did it got arrested. So all these cases, but they're gonna cover for these guys, these 18-year-old boys that ain't got no skin in the game.
Yeah,
they're gonna do a mass. You just have to take a big leap of faith to assume that there's some "I'm my brother's keeper" code amongst white folks. Because I'm gonna tell you, as a white guy that gets called a racist and a supremacist and all that shit all the time, I ain't privy to no code of silence. No, I'm my brother's keeper, white privilege. If somebody white F's with me, they're going to jail. Like there ain't no free pass because he's a good boy. He was Clay, he was raised, poverty, Clay. I don't care.
Well, they're old enough to know right from wrong. That's what the determining factor is. But in this case, you got to have a crime, and they still haven't established that a crime has been committed.
They ain't even established a motive.
No reasonable suspicion, no probable cause. Right. There has been no crime committed.
It's black with white that's the crime, or that's the motive. He dates a white girl. This guy's been dating white girls his entire dating life, apparently.
From what we understand.
And now they're suddenly upset that he dates a white girl, so they killed him at the beach. None of it makes any sense. And y'all wonder why we got black fatigue or ghetto fatigue or whatever you want to call it to feel better about it. You wonder why people are tired of this. Every situation is a boy that cries wolf. And people are fed up with it. Slap up with it. Don't care. So that's why when one of these situations actually happen, I don't care. Like the white guy that got sent to jail the other day, I saw somebody tag me in it. White guy lives in the same neighborhood as some black guy. Saw him at the entrance and basically shot at him because he thought he was a black guy, maybe associated with some criminals. So they charged some county out in another state, charged him with some kind of hate crime, got him for some enhancement. Has to go to jail for like 8 or 9 years because he said he saw a black guy and shot at him. Well, I can say, well, that's effed up. That's effed up.
That's plumb stupid.
But here's the thing. That was a majority white county. And they sent his ass to prison with the hate crime enhancement. So it's like, where are these deaths of black people happening and people not being charged when they're supposed to be, if it's a crime? And also, let me say this. Every death of a black person at the hands of a white person isn't because they were black. We got to separate. Sometimes murder's just murder. It ain't because the white guy that killed the black guy is a flaming racist and went and out hunting a black guy to kill that day.
That's why I hate the hate crime monikers. All crimes is hate.
Yep.
It's from some degree. If you really look at it, it all is because you don't care enough about your fellow man that you're not going to take something from him or kill him. It's simple as that.
Yep.
What you think in your head is irrelevant. You broke the law by killing somebody. You should go to jail for that. Now, if we want to get into the thought police, you can go watch a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. So where is the reaction from these people every time somebody black kills somebody white because they're white? Y'all pretend that don't happen. But actually that happens 41 times more. 41 times that the 50% of the population roughly gets attacked violently by the 13%.
Question in there, it says, in layman's terms, what did we learn from the independent autopsy? 100% nothing.
Yeah, 100% nothing. There was nothing, and he dodged the toxicology report.
I would suggest that the toxicology report has been returned by now.
Yeah, he dodged the toxicology report because if there was nothing there, I believe he would have told us there was nothing there. I believe that would have got brought up because rumblings on the streets be talking, and rumbling on the streets is the toxicology report, and I ain't just talking about alcohol, could come back showing some trace amounts of some other substances. So we will see what the state crime lab, will the state release theirs before or after it goes to a grand jury? Are we going to have to wait on the grand jury now?
For the state or for the county to release theirs?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to come out till after the grand jury meets on it. I can't say 100%, but I'm 99.9% sure.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. I mean, at this point, because I'm still like, why the hell even, there's no crime, why would you send it to the grand jury? But people have explained to me, in a high-profile case like this, you remove all doubt. Now, they'll just say the grand jury's rigged, so they're anonymous. I heard them talk about that with the Nolan Wells case. The grand jury was anonymous. All grand juries are, right? Preston?
Say again?
All grand juries are anonymous?
Yes, supposed to be.
Yeah. So, let's see here. I'm just kind of looking at some comments here. We're going to get out of here. I can sit here and go on and on and on about this. Y'all know how I feel about it. These boys didn't do nothing wrong. The culture is going to culture, and they're going to overreact, and they're going to blame it on everybody. And that's all it is to it. And what this is going to do is you're going to have a whole lot of people, because I've heard plenty of black people say, we don't need white friends anymore. Well, you're going to have a whole lot of white people say, look, it ain't about you, but man, if something were to happen to you while you were around me, I can't deal with the smoke of having to defend myself and my family and my legacy and everything because y'all decided that because you slipped down a flight of stairs, can't handle your alcohol, can't swim, whatever the case may be, that I'm somehow responsible. One of the things that Crump put out there, he kind of pushed this narrative that this boy plays football. What do you mean he couldn't swim? Tell me you don't know anything about currents and swimming without telling me you don't know anything about currents and swimming. I grew up swimming since I was a baby. The last couple of years, the only time in my life I hadn't had a pool in my backyard. I consider myself a pretty good swimmer. I'll give y'all a quick story here. Lakeshore Park at the reservoir.
Yep.
I was in my peak best health ever, 19, 20 years old. There's a campground across from it, and everybody thinks that it's just right over there. I can swim over there and back. Man, I got about a football field out, and they had to come get me on a boat.
It's a lot farther swimming.
One way. I didn't make it back the other way.
It's a lot farther swimming than you think it is.
Yeah, and that's in smooth waters where there's not an ocean and the jet stream. Is that what it's called? The jet stream, whatever, like catching you and pulling you. And I know the Gulf of Mexico is not an ocean, but it does go into it. Y'all know what I mean. And between those islands there
there's plenty of current. If you've never been in the reservoir out to the party coves out there and jumped out in the water and swam around for a while, you find currents out there easily.
Absolutely. So one of the narratives was, this is a football player. He couldn't drown. Well, I shared on my Facebook page, and y'all can go look at this at the Clay Edwards Show on Facebook if y'all want to. And I sent it to Lindsay yesterday, and me and Lindsay will be live from noon to 1 today. I'm going to join her to break this down on her show, and it'll be streaming to all my socials as well. But let me just show y'all this. So I just had Grok. I remember Kiefer McGee that played for Mississippi State. He drowned. and he was a star running back, going to be a star running back at State, and he drowned. So I just asked Grock straight up, hey, can you tell me some other college football players or football players that we know for a fact died drowning? Well, as a matter of fact, it was way more than one. Here's what it said. Tragic reminder for attorney Ben Crump and anyone pushing narratives. Being healthy, strong football player does not make you immune to drowning. Water doesn't care about your status, about your stats, size, or athleticism. Accidents happen. Rip currents is the word I was looking for.
Yep.
Seizures, exhaustion, unseen hazards. And this was me typing here. And I said, stop turning tragedies into conspiracies. Here's just some of the football players who died from drowning. Kiefer McGee, star Mississippi State Bulldog, tailback, led the SEC in rushing, drowned in an apartment complex swimming pool near campus in 1997. Healthy, elite athlete, accidental drowning. I could stop right there and debunk this whole he played football, can't drown nonsense. 2, Joe Delaney, Kansas City Chiefs running back, Pro Bowler, drowned in 1983 trying to save his kids in a pond. Heroic, but still gone at 24. And I'm going to tell you, there's another guy whose name I can't remember. He was a retired professional wrestler. Died 2020, 2021, saving his son's life at the beach. Black guy. I can't remember his name. He wasn't that famous, but he was a WWE guy. I mean, just in tip-top shape, like a monster. Same thing. Died saving his son's life drowning. Marquise Hill, number 3, New England Patriots, defensive end, drowned in 2007 after jet ski accident at Lake Pontchartrain. Now you can say the jet ski maybe knocked him unconscious, something like that, but drowned nonetheless. Ryan Mallett, former NFL quarterback. I think he played at the University of Arkansas too, didn't he? I didn't even know he was dead. I hadn't even read all these. It says a parent drowning off Florida Beach in 23. Number 5 here, Andre Selden Jr., Utah State, Michigan cornerback, drowned, cliff diving at Reservoir in 2024. Not our Reservoir, a different one. Number 6, Jake Schaefer and Philip Lachirico, former Wheaton College teammates, both drowned in Lake Michigan this year in 2026, trying to help each other. And more cases exist, college, high school, etc. Nolan Wells' death is heartbreaking and deserves a full, transparent investigation. But suggestions a fit young athlete couldn't possibly drown ignores realities and disrespects these other families. And I just typed in football players. I'm sure you can find dozens of other athletes that died drowning. I shared a story yesterday. I don't know the shape of the people, anything like that. It was a tragic situation up in Ohio, and I don't know if it was a pond, a reservoir, a river, or what. But they were camping. They were grilling out Sunday. One of the kids or somebody out there was drowning or something. 5 damn people drowned trying to save one another in one incident. Guys, I've told y'all the story when I was up on the what's the river people float down? Not the Bogachita, the other one. Okatoma. Yeah, there's a little drop off that you go down, and I flipped, lost my canoe, and I was spinning around in this little vortex, and I almost died. And there's canoes coming at my head. And if my buddy Andrew White had to come over there and got me, I was either going to drown or I was going to get knocked in the head unconscious and drown. One of the two, if not both, were about to happen if he hadn't got there, if he got there 5 seconds later. So it can happen. It can happen easy. Being in shape, having great wind, sure, that helps.
All those things help.
You might be able to fight a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But the second you get sucked under, none of that matters. And then why did one of the other things I've seen come up multiple times, one of the narratives they were pushing, he was found face down. What in the blue hell does him being washed ashore face down have to do with anything? He was dead when he was washed ashore.
But wait, we don't know how he got in the water. We don't know how he went in the water. You notice in his little speech there that he made sure to say that it depends on how he went in the water.
Yeah, we're not talking about a bottle, like a cork bottle here.
No,
just because you may go in face first and float around on your back. You may go in on your back, end up on your face. I don't know what in the blue hell that would have to do with anything. If you get sucked under, in one of these currents and you sink and drown, you're going to sink for a little while.
Yep.
And then your body's going to do whatever it does and kind of pop back up, right?
Because of decomposition, air starts to go inside the body, and then you pop up.
Right. And I don't want to pretend I'm an expert here, so I'm just thinking like common sense, and I've watched enough, 48 hours and crime documentaries and all this stuff to understand eventually what goes down must come up. Just like what goes up must come down. That's why the mob tied concrete cinder blocks to everybody. Furthermore, just thinking out loud here, because we were told that this was these guys planned this, they planned to take the black boy out there and kill him. Okay, well, you don't think these guys have seen enough movies to know that you're supposed to bring some cinder blocks and tie him up so he sinks and doesn't wash ashore?
I'm sure they at least watched at least one movie.
I mean, at least. They just, Lake Norman, and that Lake Norman in Nevada, where Las Vegas gets all its water supply from.
I don't know that one.
The one, the Hoover Dam is
that sounds right.
The lake up there. I think it's Lake Norman. I could be wrong on that. That doesn't sound right now. Anyway, the lake in Las Vegas where they get their drinking water from is dealing with severe drought. It reached record levels of low recently, like when the Mississippi River basically dried up a few years ago. And they found dead bodies there that had been put in 55-gallon drums and had cinder blocks and stuff tied to them. Where the mob back in the day, when Vegas was Vegas, and the mob still ran it, killed people, and they took them out there and sunk them. So, point being, they do that because bodies are going to pop back up. And was it trying to suggest that it would? I don't understand the point in he was face down. Like, what would that prove?
Absolutely nothing, but it sure does give a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah. So, y'all are going to say we got more questions than answers. I'm going to say the fact that there's more questions than answers per se tells you that you ain't getting the answer you're looking for.
That's
if
right.
You're looking for a crime to have happened here. Because trust me, if there was anything to insinuate a crime, he would have said it today. And he tried. I mean, but none of that makes any sense. That you just say enough random shit and stupid people. I mean, did you hear the audible gasp from the audience when he was talking about the organs being out?
Oh, yeah.
Like these kids gutted him. He didn't say that this is what the autopsy previously did. Like, he set it up so bad that the crowd had an audible gasp thinking that this boy had been gutted like a deer.
Yeah. I hope that many of you have never been to an autopsy. It's not fun to watch.
I can't fathom. I don't want to. Don't have any interest in it. All right, Creston, thank you. Everybody, thank you. I'll be back live with Lindsay at noon today. Right here, wherever you're watching this, you'll also be able to watch that stream or watch it on hers. It don't matter. Or listen to it on 103.9 WYAB from noon to 1. Y'all be blessed. Peace. Thank you, everybody.
See ya.
I know I missed a couple super chats. Let me hit this last one here. Just a Mad Cow Moo. Thank you. I think you sent at least 3 super chats. Much love. Says, I don't know if to thank you or hate you for making me listen to the Crump Dump today, but thank you for the coverage. Much appreciated. Well, no, thank you for the super chats, and for super chats or not, thank you for chiming in and asking some questions and being courteous. We always appreciate it. Y'all be blessed, man. Thank you to the mods. Couldn't do this without y'all. Peace. I am now dumber.
It reminds you of that. What's that movie that says, what you have said over the last 3 minutes?
Yeah.
We are now dumber for listening to what you have said. Nothing you said makes any sense.
And this is why I don't normally cover